Hey guys, it's John, ReelBlue Custom Rods, and welcome back to the channel and to this week's live stream. Sorry I have not been around in a while, been kind of busy, but wanted to, and usually I do this on Mondays, but I figured I wanted to kind of get it set up for today, as I posted that short yesterday about rod repair stuff, and got quite a bit of answers. So a little bit about this rod. Again, this is an Abu Garcia, as I mentioned in the short video. And we have the break, right? So here's where the rod was broken at, and you can see I started working on one side already, and then here is the other portion that is broken. The part here in my hand now, this is the part that goes up to the tip, and then the part here on the left, this is kind of the bottom portion of the rod. It's a nice spinning rod. The customer wants to keep it. Somebody fell on the rod and broke it. So we had a couple of things happen, right? We had the rod break right here, all right? We had a guide break here and a guide break here. And so what I wanted to do, and then I removed a guide from here for the purpose of fixing the rod. So I removed the guide from here so we could fix it. I also removed a guide from here. This one was broken, and then this one was broken. So what I'm going to do is the guide that I removed from here, I'm going to go put up here towards the front of the tip of the rod, and then I'm going to replace these two guides right here with a bit of a tiny bit larger running guide, and then I'm going to come back here with the guide on. I want to say it's probably a size 10 spinning guide, and put that there. And hi Heather, how's it going? So that is what we're going to do. So the first thing I did is I already got this part. I've already cleaned up this part, got it all cleaned up for what I want to do. I got a piece of masking tape on there, and so what we'll do is we'll just kind of get into this next portion here of fixing this part of the rod. So it's pretty damaged, right? But it's totally repairable. Hey Mike, how's it going? So it's totally repairable. You can see a little fray there on the carbon. You know, I'm good with that. I'm okay with fixing that, and I think we'll just keep it the way it is. AJ3, what's going on? But so what I want to do is I like to take a little bit of masking tape, and what I'm going to do is I'm looking for where the majority of those splinters stop, and I'm thinking it's right about here. And I just like to put a piece of masking tape on here to hold all this shit together, so I don't get any more fraying as I clean this part off. Hey Scott, what's going on? Hey Scott, glad to see you made it. One of my paid channel members. Thanks for joining, Scott. David Horvath, what's going on, man? How you doing? So now that I have this masking tape on here, what I want to do is I just want to take this piece off and get that part off. So what I like to do is just hold the rod. I just use a little hacksaw here, and again I'm just below where those frayed parts are at. And I'm kind of right just above that tape. And I'm just going back and forth until I go through, and you can see where I'm making my way through that rod right there. I'm making my way through, and I'm just going to cleanly take that piece off. And again, I like that little piece of masking tape just so it doesn't splinter anymore. The pieces on the outside and go further down, right? And then that's it. And so now I have that little bit of piece there. I'm going to come back on this side. I'm just going to try to break through those. And okay, so we've got a little messy mess going on right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of come in with some shears and try to take some of that carbon off. I don't want to use scissors because scissors aren't good for your, carbon's not good for your scissors. So that's why I kind of use those shears. And I'm just going to come back with some 220. And we're just going to take that off. All right. And now what I'm going to do, take that masking tape off a little bit there. I'm just cleaning up that end. All right. And then I'm just coming back and I have my other fixed in here that I've already cleaned up. Sorry, I'm trying to do this here on the camera. And they look pretty even, pretty straight. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'll start with the bigger end first, and we'll make sure. So what I do is I have a carbon stick. You get a carbon stick out of the kit. To be frank, and I will have this in the description below, you can pick this OJY rod repair kit. You can get these on Amazon. Why I like them, the brushes are okay, probably disposable. I won't use the epoxy resin, but I like it for the carbon pieces. You can find them. This kit, I remember, was about 17 bucks. And then it also comes with the stainless steel sleeve on the outside if you choose to use those. But these carbon sticks are solid carbon. And what I like to do is I'm just going to use a grease pencil so it's easier. And what I'm going to do is make a mark, or an arrow essentially, so I know which way is up or down in this case. So I'm going to use the arrow as towards the tip of the rod. And then what I'm going to do is I want to insert this and make sure I got a good fit. And it is a tiny bit loose in that portion. But I don't, and the trick here is that, and I know it may sound counterproductive, right? But you want the carbon stick to be bigger than the diameter of the blank, right? And so where I'm at here, with this is I'm just checking it out, right? So I'm nice and solid, but it's in there and it fits good. And then if I look at the other portion of the rod, again, this would be the arrow going towards the tip. And so in here, it's a bit tighter, right? So I know I've got to sand that down. The problem is I don't want this to be too loose, where it, if it's too loose, I'm not going to get a good snug fit. And remember, I want this thing to dry straight, right? So I want to make sure I get a good snug fit and kind of like no wiggle, because I don't want to put the blank on there and then put the other top portion of the blank on there and then it'd be crooked. So my next option is to go a size up, right? But I know if I go a size up, this is bigger than this size, but it's going to be quite a bit more bigger than this one. But it is what it is. So what we're going to, and I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing something that's slightly smaller diameter, which I am not. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our piece of sandpaper. Again, I want to come back. With my Sharpie here, and I'm going to make an arrow. And then, so again, I know that's the top part, and I'm going to take my piece of sandpaper, and of course I'm going to sand by rotating to slide that back in. The next part I want to do really quick before I get into knocking some of this size off of this thing. So I want to come in and measure. And the reason why I want to measure is I want to know where the center of this dowel is. And I'm going to call that right about there because I want to make sure I insert this evenly. So now the way to kind of cheat on that a little bit, if you will, is we're going to go to the power tools, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and insert it in the chuck, but what I will do really quick to be on the safe side, I'm just going to take a piece of tape and I want to do the end that's going into the larger diameter. I want to do that one first, so I'm going to turn it upside down, right? Because I want to do the bottom part first. I just want to have that in there a little bit, not too tight, but tight enough so it doesn't come loose, and I don't want to crack that thing. And then all I'm going to do really is just kind of hold on to that. All right, and take some of that off, and then stop. And then we're going to just come back and check our fit. Of course, that fit is still too big. So I'm going to come back. And do that again. All right, take that out. Still a little big, so we got to take it down some more. And remember, we're doing this because we want this to be larger, or excuse me, we want it to be larger initially so we have a good snug fit when we slide it in to the rod, or to the blank in that case, right? Okay. And so I just take some off and then come back and check. And we're definitely getting smaller. So it's a bit time consuming, but it's a step that we need to do. And we'll just kind of adjust the sandpaper. All right. And then we'll take that out of the chuck. And we're going to come back and check again. And again, it's time consuming, but we want to make sure we have a good snug fit, because if I took that other stick and I stuck that other carbon stick in here and it's loose and I put the epoxy in there and it dries, if that thing doesn't, if it dries anything other than straight, because there's a little wiggle room, if it were to like lean forward, backward, left, or right, when I go to put the top portion of the rod back on here, it's going to be sitting at an angle at whatever direction. So that's why, again, you want to choose the dowel that has a bit larger diameter, just larger than the inside of the blank, and then you want to sand it down to get in there, to get it to a right fit. A good snug fit. Let's go right here. Okay, that bad mamma jammer is getting warm. All right. Okay, so we're definitely getting smaller here. Almost ready to fit that thing in there. All right. Yeah, we're getting smaller still, so we got to take a bit more off. And of course, if you're doing this on your own, you can just leave the dowel in the chuck, right? And just take the rod and put it back on there and see if it fits right. All right, getting there. All right. As you can see, it is definitely a process, but it's a process you got to take, right? So we just keep doing that until we get it down. All right. All right, we're getting there. It is definitely a long process, I'm telling you. That is for sure. Sorry, guys. All right. All right, just a tiny bit more because I do not want to force it in there, but it's definitely getting a bit smaller there. All right. Yeah, a little bit more. Remember, we want this fit when we put it in there. We want it to be tight. And the other part you got to remember, the diameter of this blanket is going to get larger because it's at the bottom part, so it's going to get larger as it goes down. The patience of which I speak. I hear you, Scott. I hear you. But this way, you know, if you guys have to try to do this, you guys know that it's going to take a while, and you know that you're not doing anything wrong when it's taking a while. So let me come back with this really quick. I'm just going to... Yes, I do know how bad the dust is for your health. Thank you. I appreciate that, Agent 007. All right, we got just a little bit more. And I guess I could have probably did this before. My apologies, guys. I know it's taken quite a bit of time. Okay, so as you can see, I want to keep sanding this down so where I'm able to get that inserted. And again, you know, you want it to be as tight as possible. You want to pick a diameter that's going to be larger than the diameter that's going to go in, because you want it to be tight. As a reminder, the reason why that I want that is if I was going to use this one, which fit nice and easy inside there, you can feel and see that little wiggle room, right? The next size up is this one, and I want to make sure it fits, so I have to sand it down, because if I just put this one in and it wiggles and it just drives, you know, crooked, left or right, up or down or whatever, again, when I go to put the other portion of the rod on, it's going to be crooked. So what I am going to do, for the sake of time, because I know you guys all have things that you need to do, what I will do is I will go ahead and stop this video here where we're at. What I'll do is I'll get these sanded down to where it fits properly, and I will do another live stream next Monday. And I'll do a live stream at 4 p.m. next Monday, same time, same channel. And then what I'll do, we'll get right into the insertion part and how we want to go ahead and apply that and make it fit. But you get the idea here of how to trim off the excess frayed ends of the carbon rod. Why I like to use the masking tape. You understand now the purpose behind picking a larger dowel like this than the smaller dowel. And what I'll do is I'll just get this sanded down. I won't waste your guys' time. And when we come back on Monday, we'll go ahead and get to the actual fixing, inserting this in the bottom portion and then on the top portion and all that. So we'll go with there. So again, appreciate your guys' help. Thanks for hanging out with me, and appreciate your patience. And we'll talk to you guys next week. All right, man. Take care. And Eric Stickney, I see your message. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.